That's not what's supposed to happen.
That's what she said.
Play ball! Blue 22! Hike, hike, hike.
You are watching Sports and Sorts live on YouTube. That's 75% sports, 25% sorts. And here are your hosts, Shane and the Bry Man.
Only had to play that clip twice at the beginning due to some lackluster preparation by me. Oh, the virus has gotten us all in different ways.
That's for sure.
Anyway, happy Monday. It is a little bit later than we should be on, but, and we're going to be doing a shorter show than we normally do, but, it's what it is. And it's going to be what it is. But we're going to be talking about a couple things today. We're going to talk about the MLB season. There are some negotiations that are going on that some people are not very happy about. Some people understand. Some people just don't give two craps. I think all of those opinions are probably valid. But anyway, let's get into some sports before we get into some other topics. Like George Floyd, all the stuff that's going on there. I mean, I just read something about J.R. Smith during some looting. Some guy broke his windshield or some kind of window in his car, and he went out and beat the living poop out of him. Just because he broke his windshield. And he was like, hey, he's gonna learn his lesson. Said it had nothing to do with being white, black, or anything. Just, you break my stuff, I'm coming after you, and I'm going to give you a whooping. That's basically what he said.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some crazy times going on there. But let's get into baseball first, because it is sports and sorts. So let's get into the sports side of things. Sports. MLB season. Oh, by the way, I'm Shane. I'm your host. And there's the other guy, the other host. If you haven't been here yet, this is the 247th time that we've done this. You should know us by now. But
right, it's your fault for us not introducing ourselves.
Has nothing to do with the lackluster preparation. But anyway,
it's just a bad job on your part as a listener.
Yes, seriously, get your act together. Anyhow, so MLB season, there are some serious negotiations between the players' union and the MLB owners. Where do you fall on this? Because it seems like there's a couple of different ways to fall. There's some people, like I said, that just don't care. And they're just like, dude, whatever. Like,
it's not. Yeah. It is not often in sports that I side with the owners. Usually in sports, I'm always on the side of the players, especially in football, where their guarantees are worth absolute dick. But in this particular case, I kind of do side with the owners. Not in so much as that, I want to see any owners' pockets get lined more than they already are. They're as it is, they're already worth more than any of their players anyways. And that's when you've got guys like Mad Max Scherzer and Mike Trout who are making, north of $30 million a year. Those owners still have way more money than these guys.
Yes.
That being said, here, you know what? To be honest with you, there's a couple of things for me on this. I'll get back to the players owners thing in a second. Mm-hmm. But look, you've worked in corporate America, right? I still do work in corporate America. Mm-hmm. You know how like sometimes if you were on a conference call in corporate America, somebody, a relatively uncomfortable conversation might come up and somebody on the phone will say, let's take this offline, which is basically corporate jargon for we're not going to talk about this now with all these people on the phone. We're going to talk about this in an individual setting. Uh-huh. That's what fucking should have happened here. There is absolutely no need for this to have played out in the public. Mm-hmm. These negotiations should have been going on behind closed doors. We did not need to know this. I did not need to know the detail, but now we know it, and now we get to comment on it because we're all Monday morning fucking armchair quarterbacks anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So you brought it out, and now we're all going to talk about it, and now we're all going to jump down your throats because, let's be honest, guys like Max Scherzer, and I love Max Scherzer, and this bothers me. the way that he is going about this, because I'm sorry, there's just no other way that he's coming off as anything other than selfish here. Look, okay, now there is one, I do think the players have at least one decent point, because what the owners are asking is, not only are we going to prorate your pay based on the amount of games that are going to be played, which of course should happen. I mean, that would happen in any other kind of, of course you would get paid a prorated amount for your time of play. But what the owners have proposed is also an additional cut, and that's based on the fact that, well, stadiums, we're not going to be having all these revenues because stadiums are going to be closed. We're not going to be playing in front of fans. So we're going to be losing concessions, beer money, all that merchandise, all that stuff. So we want the players to take an additional cut for that. Mm-hmm. I can kind of see where the players might have a little bit of an issue there. Mm-hmm. But still, the bottom line is you're asking a guy who makes $30 million a year to basically take a 40% to 50% pay cut, which, sorry, I guess I can't relate to a multimillionaire, so I don't see that as a problem. Right. Where I feel bad is for the minimum wage guys, the guys who make $500,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that – now, of course, that's also scaled too, though. This is, of course, a scaled pay cut. So, a guy making $500,000 isn't going to have to give up as much, but he's still going to lose a couple $100,000. It's still going to be a lot of money. It's still going to be $100,000 or more dollars per year. So the problem I have is twofold. One, I hate that this played out in the public. It should not have. This should have taken place behind closed doors, and then when they came to a resolution, the resolution would have been what was put out in front of the people.
Right.
Two, I don't love how the players are coming off here. And let me tell you something. If they do not play baseball this year, the damages done by this are going to be significantly worse than what happened in 1994. And the reason why is because in 1994, that was just a collective bargaining labor dispute. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic where 105,000 Americans are dead, 350,000+ people have died across the globe, and you, Max Scherzer, are the face of selfish Major League Baseball players right now who don't want to take a pay cut, even though you make more money in 1 year than I will ever see in my lifetime. It's a problem. It's a problem, and it shouldn't have played out in the public, but it did. And on top of that, you guys, I'm sorry, the players come off looking bad here. I don't even know how you could even say they don't. I mean, you could try and make a devil's advocate argument, I suppose, but I don't want to hear it. It's a bad look. It's a bad optic. I hate to say it, but
it is. I think the biggest problem is that everybody just needs to take a pay cut. I mean, I'm sorry. But
the owners are losing money here too. Nobody feels sorry for them.
They are, but they're trying to recoup a lot of their profits by not paying the players as much, which I understand. It's
a trickle down.
But the owners will still make a lot more money. Like,
of course they will. They're owners,
and that's how it should be. But at the same time, the owners need to figure out what's right for everyone, not just the players, because they have a lot more employees to pay than just the players. Are the players the main reason why the people come to your stadium? Yes, they are. Which is why I think there just needs to be some sort of agreement where, yes, you're going to take a pay cut. It's not going to be a big pay cut, but you're going to take a pay cut. It's not going to be 50%. I'm sorry. You just can't really do that. Yeah. But they just need to figure it out, and they need to figure it out quick, because this is, it's going to hurt the MLB players because, it's going to take probably a decade for fans and everybody to come back and forget all this, maybe longer. Who knows?
People will be pissed.
They're going to be really upset. Yeah. It's not something that I would get too upset about, just because it is a very weird situation. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of businesses and employees are going through this right now, where, you can take it in the way that businesses are furloughing people, or they're just completely just firing them, and people are taking a pay cut by going on to, and getting unemployment and stuff like that. So, and that is 40% of what you were making or whatever it is. And it makes it really tough to kind of say, oh, well, yeah, I'm only going to be getting 50%. But you're getting 50% of 30 mil.
Of 30 million.
That's a lot. So
Again,
and you're
still
going to be
more money
playing
than I'll see in my lifetime.
and you're really going to be playing about half a season. So you got to really figure it out. Like, it's not your fault all this happened, but you still have to put yourself in everybody else's shoes. And I think that they're just having a little bit of a difficult time. I think they're drawing a hard line in the sand, whereas it needs to be kind of a soft line in the sand. Because you just got to work with each other right now. And I feel like the owners are probably working a little bit better, but because they have a lot more, because you got to figure they have hundreds of employees that they have to try and get checks to and everything like that. And not really just thinking about the players, although the players are the reason why all these people have jobs to begin with.
And look,
so it's a very, very difficult situation to be in.
And let's be honest here. This is an unprecedented event and time that we're going through. It's not always going to be like this. Eventually, stadiums will fill up again. Fans will come back. Guys, for players, this is a mild inconvenience for a year. That's what this is.
I think the biggest problem with all this,
it could be 2 years. You hope not, but
I think the biggest problem with this, and I think this is the reason why that the players are having the biggest issue, is their careers are so much shorter, than the owners. They have a 5-year span. It's like somewhere between 5 and 6 years is what an MLB player's career is, which is very short compared to the owners. A lot of these owners have been owners for decades. And I think that that's a problem right there, is that they see, I have a short window. I need to fight not only for myself, but for the other people that are out here. And that is, I think, a big deal, is the how short of a window it is. And the other big problem, along with, trying to pay these people less, is that, like, Mad Max, if he earns 30 mil this year, there could be a chance that if he takes a 50% pay cut, he could essentially blow out his arm and never pitch again. And then he took 50% less. And now he's done for the
$100 million of net worth to live on for the rest of his life.
Right, but we don't know what he spent. Like, he could be in debt for all we know, and that's why he needs the money. Like, we have no idea what his.
You're right.
I mean, there's Antonio Walkers out there in the world, in the NBA world, that spend all their money. Scottie Pippins, who give their money, all the MC Hammers. There's stories and stories and stories.
But that's on them, though, too.
They're
not disciplined enough.
As a millionaire. But like, you think I still have 3-5 years left to make this money, and he's got a guaranteed contract too. So I don't know how much longer his guaranteed contract is, but if he gets hurt, he's still going to get paid. So that's good for him. But there are players out there that are on the last year of their deal, and do they want to take a 50% cut and possibly get hurt and never be able to make another dime? Like, that sucks. So, like, I think there's the two problems as far as the players go. It's like, do I want to take, like, an Aaron Judge? Like, do I want to go out there and take half of what I'm already making, and which is pennies on the dollar, to where I could be making, and then possibly get hurt? Because he gets hurt every year. Yep. So do I get hurt to the point of where I lose out on a lot of money because I already played in a shorter season, got hurt, and then wasn't able to play? Now I have to take a contract that's even less than I was, this is a bad situation for everyone. But so you got to figure something out, well, that suits everyone. I don't know. It's tough.
I mean, I get it. It's a crappy situation. We all know that, but at the end of the day, this is a bad look for the players because they're just coming off very selfish in a time when people are sick and dying. And again, that's why I still think that this will be a bigger black eye than the labor strife of 1994, because at least that really just came down to not being able to agree on a collective bargaining agreement, and not being able to strike a deal. This is, you're still going to play. It's not going to be in front of people, and you're going to play a limited schedule. Maybe you'll play 100 games instead of 162. You're still going to play, but it's got to be a prorated, and you got to make concessions when things like this happen. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but look, I'm lucky enough to still be employed.
Yep.
Okay. But I can tell you right now, I'm being a little bit more careful with my money right now than I might be in other times.
Yeah.
if I get a stimulus check, for the most part, I'm socking that away. I'm not spending that, which is not what the government wants me to do. But sorry, if you're going to give those stimulus checks, you need to expect that there's going to be a certain population.
I did like
in the country
Mark Cuban's idea.
I think the debit card.
Yeah, like you have to spend it in a certain amount. You have to spend it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we'll give you $2,000, but you have to spend it in 2 weeks. Like,
it's like food stamps; they expire, and
And like, if you don't,
you're right. It's not a bad idea.
It's a good way to stimulate. I still don't understand why they haven't figured something out with the credit card companies. And, like everything bought during this time is 0% or 1%, something like that, something very limited. And you have, 2 years to pay it off. It's going to be a separate credit card bill. It's going to be like personal loans almost.
But if you're a credit card outside of if you're a credit card company outside of saying, well, I've got a soul and a conscience, what's your reason for doing it? So many people are ordering things online now that there's just no reason for them to reduce.
But that's what they should be doing. Like that's what the government should. The government should have done something with them about it. Like from this point to this point, yes, you still can make some money because we're going to do 1%.
Have you seen this government?
No, it's terrible. And like the things that come out are just
administration right now.
It's not.
Come
great.
on.
But there's got to be a different way to tackle this. And just me thinking about it for, a little bit of time here and there. That was what I came up with, was like working with the credit card companies to figure out something for personal loan side things and keep it a separate bill. And it has to be paid off in a certain amount of time. And, would I continue to do that? No, I get points and it goes towards my, stock portfolio and all that kind of stuff. So I use that for that. Yeah. Now, if this continues on for another year, might I consider it? Yeah, I'd probably consider that. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. So,
well, bottom line though, with baseball, look, we hope it comes back. But again, just to put a cap on this, if baseball does not come back, I believe this will be worse than '94. I think you're going to have a hard time bringing the fans back. I think you're going to have a hard time winning back their loyalty after this, because this will really be a slap in the face to, I think, of a lot of fans around the world who enjoy Major League Baseball. I think
in reality, I think the point's moot anyway, because I think they're going to come back, and shortly after they're going to have to stop because there's going to be cases that pop up.
There'll be a second wave. Yeah.
Just take what you get. Take what you can get.
I shouldn't even call it a second wave. It's still just going to be part of the first wave. Yes. The second wave is technically supposed to be what's going to happen in the fall, except I don't even think there's going to be a second wave. I just think it's just one giant tidal wave that's not going away.
Right.
I think it's like a tidal wave that ebbs and flows, but it's going to pick up steam again.
The second wave is because adults couldn't stay home.
Because adults can't adult properly. Because adults act like children.
Yes. I've been saying that. Like, I've been saying things like that. Like, this has nothing. Like, my kids have been pretty good about being home. They've been able to, talk with their friends online and all that stuff. It's adults not being able to stay home.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The adults are having the hard time with this.
I don't have a problem with it, but
Right. I have a problem with it just because I like to see my friends, but I also have no problem staying home for a year. It's 1% of your life.
I did the driveway happy hour with friends, and that was nice. It was good. I needed that, but that's probably about as much as I'm willing to do right now.
I've played golf like nine holes once a week, and I've
great that you could do it.
Stayed away from people for the most part. Like, within the closest I've gotten was 6 feet, and there's been 1 or 2 times where it's gotten within that range, but quickly I've run away. Oh, I have done some serious sidestepping.
I run away from people. Like, I look at people basically like zombies right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let you get me. Like, as far as I'm concerned, every person that I see out in public, not that I'm not in public very often, I make the assumption that they have it and that they are trying to actively give it to me. That's the assumption. I'm almost like Michael Jordan in that way. Like, right? Like, I motivate myself in weird ways, except I look at people out on the street as like monsters right now who are just trying to get me so that I can pass it on to my family. That's how I'm looking at people right now.
You're doing like,
and you know what?
What are those?
Maybe that's a little messed up, but
what are those,
reality?
Those races that they have where they have to climb through the mud and run away from the zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those races that they have out there.
Yeah.
That's like what you're doing. Yeah, I like it.
Well, like an American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah,
trying to
but
get away from
they have the
zombies.
ones that like they have the ones like they're all mud, but they have people out there that are like
Yeah.
look like zombies and they're chasing after you and you have to jump through
Exactly.
fire and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
that's where we are.
yeah.
That's where we are right
Hey,
now.
it was
So.
in hindsight, that was just preparation for what we're
Yes.
dealing with now. So
Yeah. Also, I'm glad we were talking about earlier. I'm glad I've lost 25 pounds because that makes me a little more stealth,
a little more spry.
a little bit lighter on my feet these days.
You can get into areas that you couldn't before.
Yes, I can crawl
to
crawl
escape.
into small spaces and I can run a little bit quicker. So, yeah, no, this is
Good timing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good timing. It was good timing.
Okay. So I think that's pretty much it for baseball and everything like that. You wanted to get into George Floyd a little bit. I know you wanted to talk about that just a smidge. It's a very effing crazy is what it is. Not necessarily the riots and everything. That stuff is unfortunately stuff that follows things like this. But at the same time, it was heinous. Absolutely the worst.
So, I mean, a week ago today, I think it was Derek Chauvin, who was a Minneapolis police officer, put his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck, was arresting him for, I don't even remember what he was arresting him for. I know that he was wanted on a minor forgery crime or something like that. And, Chauvin pressed his knee very, obviously pretty hard on this guy's neck, and he died. He died not right on the scene, but for 8 or 9 minutes, depending on what you're hearing. Yeah. And George Floyd is gone. And in the wake of that, people not only in Minnesota, not only in the Twin Cities, but around the country are protesting and in cases rioting and looting and killing. Some of that's Antifa, but bottom line, our country is as bad a place as I can ever recall at any point. We have, can you imagine two things simultaneously going on right now? A disease that's killing literally thousands of people a day and has been killing people for now 3 or 4 months. And on top of that, you've got protests, rioting, and looting and in the wake of another African American being killed by yet another
while the pandemic's still out there.
While the pandemic is happening, and it's like, you know what's going to happen? Fucking Trump. You know what's going to happen after this? There'll be that second spike, right? There'll be that second spike, and you know what Trump is going to do? He's going to say, well, you know what? Maybe if people weren't out there protesting and being near each other, maybe we wouldn't have a second wave. But here we are. But hey, my ratings have never been higher, and my golf game is getting better. He's such a oh my god, I can't even I hate talking about him. I'm at the point now where I'm just so disgusted. It's so hard to even mention his name without getting upset. But I'll tell you. And meanwhile, on Friday night, this guy is cowering in a bunker in the White House. He was in a bunker in the White House while all this was going on. Do you know what Joe Biden was doing? And look, I'm not the biggest Joe Biden fan ever, but Joe Biden was actually out on the streets, talking, meeting with people, talking with young African-American men and women, taking pictures with them, being presidential. And where's our president? He's holed up in the White House in a bunker surrounded by a bunch of meatheads who probably can't stand the idea of protecting him. Yet they have to because it's their fucking job. But you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make this about Trump. This is about George Floyd.
Yes. And
this is about African Americans in this country. And I will tell you this. I wrote a pretty long Twitter thing yesterday about this. And unfortunately, it sort of did veer its way into Trump. And it should have been more about George Floyd and the plight that African Americans deal with in this country, because systemic racism has been here for decades, centuries, and it's not going away. It's not getting better. It's obviously getting worse. And this president, unfortunately, has made it worse. But you know what? The only thing the one thing that will piss me off more than anything when it comes to George Floyd is that his family does not get the justice that they're demanding. And the justice that they're demanding is that every one of those cops, not just Chauvin, who has already been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter, which I don't think is good enough. That should have been first-degree murder. Yeah. I don't know how that's not murder in the first. But then the other 3 cops who were there did nothing. They all need to be charged. Yeah. I don't know if it's an accessory. I don't know what it is, but they all need to go away. They all need to go away for a long, long time. And I don't know. Look, I don't want to get into like death penalty stuff here or anything like that. I don't want to get that heady, but
they're going to have a rough time in jail no matter what.
Well, you know what though? But Chauvin's already been moved to a maximum security prison, so he's not going to have a rough time. He'll be fine.
I mean,
he won't be fine in the sense that he's going to be in prison probably for the rest of his life. But oh well. But
they seemed a way to find ways to get to you.
Here's my question: what is it going to take? What is it going to take in this country for African Americans to be treated as equals, to have the equality that they should have? Why? How are we? For as progressive and advanced as we think we are, we're really not. We're really not. We're fucking terrible. And I don't want to just make this to be like, oh, white people are fucking awful and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously we're all not. But why? Why is there so much hate? Why do we have so much hate in this country? And look, I'm not going to blame Donald Trump for that. We all know who Donald Trump is. We all know what he is. We all know that he's inciting this and throwing gas on this fire and making it even worse than it already was to begin with. Mm-hmm. But it didn't start with him. Systemic racism did not start with him. It's gotten worse with him, but it did not start with him. So I'm not going to point the finger at him in that sense. But what is it going to take in this country for African American people to have the equality that they should have? Asians, Latinos, anybody who's not fucking white. What is it going to take? Why are we such a hateful bunch of... Look, this stuff starts in the home, right? You've got 2 kids. I've got 3 kids. Mm-hmm. This is all about how you raise your children. Look, I'm proud to say that my kids don't look at people and see color. It's great. Yeah. But that's because... Yeah, see, I don't mind... That's because they're a byproduct of us, because we don't have that. Yeah. We don't have hate in our hearts like that.
I'm similar but different. Like I try to, like, I don't care if you see color. I think color is great.
Sure. Sure.
I think that you see somebody who is, dark black, or you see somebody that's light skinned brown or whatever. It's cool. Like it's an interesting story, like,
it's
and
it's a great thing.
Like you can talk to people about it. Like, wow, like where are you from? Like, where are your parents from? Are you from around here? You can get a good story. It could be like, my whole family grew up down the road. Like that's where you'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, like the ancestry and stuff, that's all a part of it. Like, some people might not want to talk about it. Some people might want to talk about it. You don't know. Yeah. But like there are stories behind it, and it is interesting. And that was something that, like, I've kind of always struggled with when I was younger. It was like, you see somebody that is, that is black, and they could be from a range from, light skinned all the way to very dark skinned. And it's one of those things that I struggled with when I was younger. Yeah. But now I'm kind of like, I find it, it's intriguing to, just talk to them about it. And, a lot of the time they're kind of like, oh yeah, we're, from Ethiopia or whatever, or, we're from the Dominican Republic, or, and you don't even know if they're, Latino, or if they are African American, or if they're African, or, whatever they're from. You don't know until you really talk to them about it. Right. It's one of those things that, like, just enjoy people for being people. Like, just be a good person, and they'll be a good person.
Why is it so hard? But why is there so much hate? I don't understand. I guess I don't understand because I was not raised in a house with any kind of hate like that. And I guess I can't relate. I'm glad I can't relate. I just don't understand.
Just enjoy the person for being the person that they are. Like,
but you know what? It sounds too, but you know what? Ultimately, I feel just horrible, awful for the. I watched that video. It was just disturbing. It's disgraceful and disturbing. I don't even know. I don't even know.
I just
how
saw
to
the
say.
picture and I was like, I got like
Yeah,
upset to my stomach. Like, it
yeah, yeah.
doesn't matter who
got
that person
mad.
is.
I got
Like,
mad. You know how like when you sometimes you watch stuff, you
ugh.
can feel your body clenching.
Yeah.
You know, like you can feel like your fist tightening. I got like that, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, the guy wasn't even remotely resisting. How
Right.
could he be? Because in addition to Chauvin having his knee on his neck, you had two other guys behind him who aren't really in the scene that they're there that are holding down his legs and his back. The guy's not moving. What? You really? And then you know who else I hated was the other fucking cop just standing there doing the crowd control, and all these people are screaming at him, "Get off his neck!" Oh, and then here's the other thing I hate. Oh, you got all these people who are like, "Oh well, if he's saying he can't breathe, he can breathe." Oh yeah, okay. Well, guess what? Where is George Floyd now? He's in a morgue. So whether he could actually breathe or not, it's kind of irrelevant because he's dead. He's dead, and that cop killed him. And that's all it comes down to. And I'm not making this an indictment on all cops. By the way, not all cops are bad at all. I do not believe that.
Most of them are good.
Yeah, I believe the majority of them are
Just
actually
like
good and that
people
they're
in
in the
general.
job for the right reasons.
Most people are good.
Here's the other big issue I have in all of this. People are crying about people are crying about the looting and the rioting. Well, I have some news for you when it comes to rioting and protesting and looting. I especially find it ironic that Trump defenders and people who claim to be patriots have issues with this. Here's my problem with that. You do understand how this country was founded, right? There was a big fucking riot once. It was called the Boston Tea Party. How did that turn out for us as Americans? Pretty fucking good, actually. It worked because it led to the Revolutionary War, which ended up in us becoming free and declaring our independence from a tyrannical King George. Okay? That's how we got to where we are. So if you have a problem with protests and riots, then I guess you kind of have a problem with the way this country was founded, because that's how it happened. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, this is where we came from. Protesting and rioting. I mean, I don't want to say rioting, but protesting for sure is a very healthy thing. We should always question our leaders, especially now. We should be questioning our leaders as often as possible, even though they're cowardly and sitting in bunkers beneath the White House. I'll never understand people who claim to be patriots but hate the idea of protesting and rioting. I mean, I'm not
looting,
crazy
rioting is different
I'm not crazy
than
about
protesting.
Right. I'm not, but you know what though? I do have an issue with the looting, because the looting, to me, that's where you've got people who are basically taking advantage of a bad situation.
Yes.
They're taking advantage of something, and a lot of those people are fucking Antifa people too. You can tell. But the rioting part, it's weird. I'm like kind of on the fence about it. I mean, obviously I don't want to see innocent people get hurt.
Right.
But I do believe that in order to send a message, unfortunately, things have to get dialed up a notch.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting violence, but I'm saying sometimes if you want to get your message across, sometimes marching in a parade arm in arm is just not going to be enough. The Boston Tea Party was a very physical, violent event.
Yeah.
It wasn't what you just see in paintings. It wasn't just a bunch of guys throwing tea overboard.
Yeah.
It's a little bit to the Boston Harbor.
It's a little different now because of all the violence that can be happened.
Yes, it is. I know that. I'm just saying that peace is sometimes born of revolution.
Yeah.
And
I get it. I do get it. It's just,
I got an issue with the looters though, because those people are just trying to take advantage of a situation.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not doing anything in the positive memory of George Floyd by looting a Nike store. Sorry, you're just not. Or destroying the College Football Hall of Fame, which, by the way, like 95% of the people honored in the College Football Hall of Fame are African American.
Right.
So what message are you sending there? None. You're just being an asshole. But the rioting, in some ways I can justify it. The protesting, 100% behind it. You know, it sucks that it's getting violent, but again, this is about, for African Americans, this is about sending a message. I'm sorry. I don't blame them. I really don't. I don't. Yeah. Not in the least. Not in the least. And I hope that they know that there's a lot of people of my pale color that are with them and that support them. You know?
I think of us two, I think I might be the more pale.
You might be.
Particularly with this camera.
Well, I've got that half Sicilian, half Lebanese thing going on, so I've got a lot of olive oil coursing through my veins at any given time. So, I was so mad like this whole weekend, and I watched a lot of it. I was watching CNN last night, and I was just watching, the interviews with his brother. His brother, I don't know how his brother is able to kind of compose himself through these, but he doesn't. He loses it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I also applaud him because I think he feels like a moral obligation to be out there, and he continue. I mean, his message has stayed the same.
Yeah. He's
like, these guys need to be arrested and charged, and brought to justice. And I think most of America feels that way too. Mm-hmm. And I hope he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
I hope his brother gets justice, and I hope his brother has found peace. But
yeah. And then if you wanted to look on some, on the other side where we have some good news, as in like the John Krasinski thing, there's some good news where he's going to be. His show got bought by CBS. I do think that there's a good chance.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. And I do think there's a very cool way to kind of make that succeed. Is they could very easily turn that into a Saturday Night Live type thing where once a week have a different celebrity come in and do it and have fun with it.
Or just hear me out. He could just talk to his wife all the time.
I know. You want the sexy push-up.
I don't need the sexy push-up. I just want to see her face and hear her voice. Good enough for me. You put a lot of stock in that sexy push-up, which, don't get me wrong, that was sort of like my aha moment.
That was like you like getting.
That was where I was like, oh.
That's where this was born.
Yes. Without a doubt. I will give you that. But there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I think that she could possibly host occasionally. Or
just be there. What if she's just there? Could she just be there like
cardboard cutout?
Could she just be like Andy Richter?
No, she's too busy. She's too busy, man. That's why they can't continue this in general, because they're both too busy.
I guess
they got to get back to their jobs.
Real quick, couple of things.
Oh, but I did want to mention the other cool thing that happened this weekend: SpaceX, the launching of into space. Getting to the International Space Station. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of cool. Yeah.
That was pretty cool. My son watched it, and I watched it with him, and very cool situation that happened.
Now I want to watch Space Force with Steve Carell.
Although looks fun.
I heard bad things though, but I don't care.
It looks funny. It looks like it could be funny and should be funny, but
it does. Couple of quick things I wanted to point out. I'm very excited. I don't know about you.
I'm gonna play the outro music.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know we have to go soon.
Two things I'm excited about. One, I read a little bit more news on Indiana Jones 5, which I guess is now slated for July of 2022. So, I mean, seriously, by the time it's out, Harrison Ford's going to be 80. Yep. That's not an exaggeration. He will actually be 80 by the time it comes out. And then I actually did. So speaking of which, we did movie night. Movie night got delayed a couple of nights. We ended up doing it yesterday, and we did watch Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So the girls finished off the Indiana Jones series. So for now, and they actually liked that one as well. And you know what? The more I've watched it, the more I've kind of liked it too. If there were just 3 parts that they could have taken out of that movie, I think it could have been really much better.
It wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't. And actually, as far as Rotten Tomatoes, it still has a 77% score. So it's not a horrible, horrible movie. But at any rate, they liked it. The last thing I want to mention very quickly, I'm very excited next year for basically the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. We're going to finally get the Snyder cut. And I'm excited because he said that 75%, it actually sounds like it's going to even be more than 75% of the movie is going to be different.
Yeah.
That's a whole new movie.
Yeah.
That is an entirely new movie. I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, this will give Justice League a second chance, and it will give everybody what people have been clamoring about on the internet for literally a couple of years now. Give us the Snyder Cut. We're going to get it. And, of course, brilliant to put it out on HBO Max, because that's going to get people to subscribe. I already have HBO Max. I think it's just part of having DirecTV. But
I do not have it, but I will get it around that time. Yes, for sure.
Without a doubt. I can't wait for that. So super excited.
So
that's all I got.
And then the other thing I want to say is, if you haven't already, you need to watch Schitt's Creek.
Oh, Schitt's Creek's a good show. Yeah, it's a good show. It's really well cast. Dialogue is good.
Fantastic show. We are in, I think, season 3.
Eugene Levy and his son are really funny.
Are you caught up on it?
No, I'm not. I'm way behind. I'm still probably in season 1, quite frankly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like way behind. But I love it. Melissa introduced it to me, and I was like, wow, this is
so good.
Yeah, it's great. And it's great.
We're in the middle of season 3, I think.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching that.
Catherine O'Hara, she's
every night.
Awesome. She's awesome. I've loved her since Beetlejuice.
She is good, but like she really gets under my skin at times, and that's what she's supposed to. Yeah,
that's what she's supposed to do.
And even like Roland, who is the mayor, Roland shit.
Yes.
Elliot, what's his name?
Elliott?
Yeah, Chris Elliott.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He plays that character so well in so many different movies.
I know. He's great.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Very good.
I got to wrap.
Yes. So that's pretty much it for our show today. We hope you had a good time watching. We will be back Monday, guaranteed. Who knows when else? Could be something sooner. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman, or on Twitter @Shane and Bryman. You can follow me on Twitter on Einhorn @EinhornIsFinkel, or on Instagram, where I do most of my posting. Where I do any posting really is on Instagram, which is @HappyMcAvoy.
You can find me on Twitter at @the_Bry_man. Stay classy, planet globe. Part of the journey is the end. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. See you.
Bye.
Nah.
Blah, blah, blah.